Hello and welcome to the Student StarCraft AI Tournament broadcast. This is Nightcat and I will be your host for today. Starting us off here, we have a replay from Schnell that has been recommended. We have Monster spawning as the red Zerg down in the bottom left of Fighting Spirit, and over in the bottom right, we have Insanity Spreader, which is one of the authors of our bot. So it'll be exciting to see what we get here in this TVZ. Looking like we're getting a wall here. And actually, hold on just one moment. The game sound a little loud to me, so I'm going to turn them down just a smidge here. There we go. I usually adjust the volume a different way than using the slider here in OpenBW, so that way I can get consistent results across broadcasts. But I don't know if the change I made actually took effect, so I'll have to take a look at that in between games here. But for now, we can just live with it as it is here. Looks like we do have the complete wall here. I don't think this is Zergling type though, so Sandy Spreader will need to be careful of that. Drone is circling around the base. Looks like we are getting a this looks like a 12 hatch here based on the healths. But will we see 2 hatch play or 3 hatch play is a question. Now we've got a low ground bunker, so interesting choice here, 2 wall and then bunker. It looks like we're going to see bio play. I don't see a refinery. We've got the Marine here taking some shots on the drone. Finally, the drone scout goes down. Everything is looking pretty normal here. Okay, we've got a 3rd hatchery going here. I think it might be 2.5. It's kind of hard to tell because I didn't see exactly which went down first, the gas or the hatchery, but layer is started now. SCV Scout, Insanity Spreader doing a good job keeping this alive in here, getting the scouting information, or maybe that's a second one that got sent after the first one got killed, but layer timing should be seen. The tech choice hasn't been seen yet, but with the second gas here, we can tell that this is most likely going to be Mutalisks. Natural is up a little bit slow on the worker transfer here from the main to the natural. Okay, gas situation gets sorted out there. There were a few too many workers. Actually, it looks like we're not going to get any worker transfer to the natural, which is a little bit unfortunate. Usually you want to get transfer over there, so that way this is actually getting you money quickly and you're benefiting from the additional patches a little bit faster, because typically your main should be a little oversaturated at the time that goes up. Turrets are coming down in time. Actually, maybe a little bit early here for these Mutalisks, but now the thing to keep in mind too that we've kind of been spoiled with the remastered version is that you have a game timer in remastered. I think Schnell might add a game timer. I don't remember. It's been a little bit since I have played it. But, you know, usually in 1.16 a timer did not exist. We have a very large amount of Mutalisks here coming out. I like that it got a couple of creep colonies here, just in case it needs to morph those Sunkens. Especially with closed positions here, you might not have time to throw down a creep and a Sunken. That is a lot of turrets, though. Looks like Monster's going to choose to not engage with that line of turrets, but it will engage with the turret here. Insanity Spreader going to move out with this Marine Medic, but that is kind of a small amount of Marines for the amount of Mutalisks that we have here. And we can see the Mutalisks are starting to pick them up, but they are taking some damage, and so they are kind of backing out a bit. One Mutalisk goes down, another Mutalisk goes down, but the Marine count is a little bit low. Insanity Spreader is adding a 4th and a 5th rack, so this looks like it's probably going to be a 5 racks plus 1 timing. The factory is going down, so I'm not sure. I don't really run the 5 racks plus 1 timing, so I'm not sure exactly the tech timing for that, but we do have the Hive on the way on the 3 bases here for Monster opting to take this mid-left for their 3rd as opposed to another main. It looks like Insanity Spreader aware of that 3rd, going on the way to it. And the medics rush in first, and now gonna dive in on that Sunken, but here comes Monster with the Zergling and Mutalisks, and the little task force there will fall. Did get that Sunken, but it is going to be quickly replaced. We have another small force of Marine Medics, and this is kind of what you don't want to do as Terran. Like, yes, you want to be aggressive and out on the map, but you need your bio ball to get large, right? You don't want to just throw that bio ball away. Now, These lurkers here, they are a little bit worrisome. You know, just out in the middle of the map, could stumble across them, but yeah, Monster's going to dive in on this again, clean this up, and again, the army count's going to pretty much be reset. I mean, we're at 23 Marines and 6 medics. I think there's probably some of those Marines in that bunker there, so good macro coming out of Insanity Spreader, but imagine if that force wasn't thrown away, and the force before it wasn't thrown away, how much larger this bio ball moving out would be, right? It would be way larger than it currently is. Looks like trying to regroup the forces here and sort of save what was left over there. But now we've got a dive-in, good storm, or not storm, scan going down, and we have swarms pushing this Marine medic force back. But what's interesting is it's being chased away from the main, and Monster's not really moving towards the main. It's actually taking his Insanity Spreader's third here, being taken by Monster, which is a bit interesting to see here. Zoom going down very quickly there at Insanity Spreader, just trying to keep these alive for as long as possible. This base gets found here, so Insanity Spreader going to try and clean this up as well. And it's actually going to make Monster leave this force alone. That Defiler gets cleaned up as it dives everything here. And unfortunately for Insanity Spreader, there were no medics, so that force does get cleaned up. And Monster's going to be able to keep this. I'm wondering if Insanity Spreader might pivot to try and take this base, though there are Zerglings being sent to the bases and burrowed to keep an eye on them. There's also an Overlord up here to make sure that that doesn't get taken. But now we've got the Swarms at the natural, which is something you never want to have as Terran. If the Swarms get up to this point, you are in trouble. Marines rushing to fire on the units that were in the Swarm, which is not going to do much, and with that, Insanity Spreader will give the GG. So good attempt there by Insanity Spreader. I like the aggression that they were doing early on, trying to hit this third, but unfortunately, when you throw your units away like that when you're doing bio play, you just can't get the bio ball that you need to keep your army sustained out on the map. But good attempt there. Monster is a very hard AI to play against. Our next game is also going to be on Fighting Spirit. This is AI versus AI. We have Dragon spawning as the Teal Terran up at the top right of the map, and down in the bottom left, we have Crazio spawning as the Yellow Terran. So this one was recommended with the comment of, who says TVT can't be fun? I certainly don't say that. Or fun and exciting, or exciting in my I forget the exact descriptors that was used, but either way, I agree. I find TVT to be quite fun to play, so, and to cast too, so it should be pretty interesting here, I think, especially with the little tagline that was given with replay. So far, we see almost mirror builds. The barracks for Dragon getting down just a little bit faster than the one for Crazio, but that could also be a sign of the mining. Again, Fighting Spirit was made quite some time ago, before a lot of the little tricks were known with regards to map making in the minerals. So, I mean, it's not entirely bad, but you see like this depot placement here impacts the route taken by this. It makes this nice little vertical path that SCV was taking, and then right as I was going to point it out, it stopped. So we'll see this one here go ahead and do it. Yep. It's a nice little vertical quick mining. You can get that just naturally on a lot of maps today. But back then, you had to like build little buildings in specific spots in order to sort of get that effect. Looks like we're getting a fast expansion here, a bit of a more modern style fast expansion here without Bunker. Meanwhile, Bunker has gone down for Crazy, which will keep this SCV out, but Dragon's going to be in the dark on if Crazy is actually taking the base or not. And Crazy is actually going for a 2 factory here. Meanwhile, the thing is, I didn't pay attention to when this gas was actually taken. I think this was a gasless expand, and Bunker goes down now for Dragon. Because usually you do want to, in a gasless expand, though, you would throw your bunker or your barracks down here, you would throw your bunker down here, you kind of sim city up a little bit to just stop the vultures from running by that front and getting into the main. Vulture out on the map for Crazio. Looks like Crazio is, oh, okay, so gonna be some bio play here as Dragon is getting that medic, getting marine range. Crazio is getting, it looks like, siege mode, so we'll probably see a siege push. I think this bunker down here is to make it give the appearance of expanding, while actually not. And to try and deny scouting too, you have to essentially sacrifice a unit to the bunker in order to actually get that scouting intel and see what's up. We've got another barracks coming down for Dragon. The machine shop almost done here, so we'll have 2 racks and a factory, and that factory is going to immediately be producing siege tanks, so it looks like this will be a biotank push coming out of Dragon, and that will need to come relatively soon. It's investing pretty heavily in the marine, in the biotech path. I mean, you've got STEM, or you've got range, which is a fair amount of minerals and gas. You've got 2 barracks, you're getting an engineering bay, which, I mean, you've got to get anyway, but if you start getting bio upgrades, like +1, weapons or armor, you know, you're just investing more and more into that bio path, and the bio path just becomes, move away from the loud tank sieging and unsieging, excuse me, and the bio, like, it just becomes more and more of a heavy investment the more you make. There is a second engineering bay coming out, and also bio just becomes less and less viable against mechas. There's just so much splash. But again, in AI hands though, like tanks can or marines can probably minimize the splash damage that they would take from enemy tanks. And here we have this engagement in the middle here. There is a nice little barracks for Vision, but now there is a Wraith that can harass that barracks and harass the tanks. So it looks like as the barracks marches, or like floats forward to try and get Vision, it will be targeted by the Wraith, and then when it's not forward, it will be targeted by the Wraith, or the Wraith will target tanks. We do have some Goliath coming out. There's also some turrets coming down now that Wraiths have been shown. So it's kind of hard to say. Like, Crazio kind of has more forces here, so I would say you tentatively say that they're ahead, but there's no anti-air here yet. There's 2 Wraiths. They do take out the barracks eventually now. Got a lot of siege and unsiege happening here. Transfer to the 3rd here by Dragon. So Dragon is up on bases. It pretty much will be, I think, for the rest of the game. Just due to the fact that Crazy went with a 1 base opener. And now we have Valkyrie out, but just... Okay, there's a second Consat here, but they are low energy due to the Wraiths. The Wraiths get picked off here now. Crazy is still trying to fight through the middle. Dragon maybe gained a tiny bit of ground here, but the army for Dragon is looking kind of small. Keeps sending small little bits at a time to this front here. And now there's no tanks out here on the field. There is just 1 factory, it looks like. So going very heavy with the bio production. More barracks on the way. 3 more of them, in fact. This is going to be rough for Crazio here. Crazio does push up to the bridge here. Dragon might be able to push this back from here, but there are more reinforcements coming up. They're on 3 factories with 2 shops, which is a bit of a low shop count for TVT on 3 base. Like 3 base, you probably want to be on like about 4 shops usually. But I mean, with the macro capabilities of the AI, they're not going to be missing any cycles, so they can probably get a little bit more out of fewer machine shots. We can see that Crazio is spending their money, right? And they're starting to get some Wraiths themselves. They've got a Science Vessel out. They've got a few Valkyrie to deal with the Wraiths of Dragon. Dragon slowly pushes back, getting more barracks. And Dragon pushes that back, that front from Crazio that made it all the way to the bridge, but couldn't quite be reinforced in time. And now we have Dragon marching to the middle, keeping up on the heavy bio play here, and this might make its way to the bridge of Crazio now. This Dragon is further forward than they have been all match. They're in this center piece here. Dragon going ahead and taking a 4th base. Crazio evening out the base counts, starting to take a 4th base a little slower as Dragon's just finished. So Dragon's still ahead in the base race for now, but they're expanding in the same direction, so that's probably going to start to cause some conflict that will shift that base race. Vulture here trying to pick off some units, and actually Dragon now taking the middle of the map. Now that it has progressed to the bridge of Crazio. Gotta be careful of the mines. Marines should be able to DPS that down enough in a large group, but going to be tricky here. Defense Matrix going down on the Cloaked Wraith, and then it does get shot down out of the air. Marines have a ton of DPS. And marching forward here, just the pure macro capabilities. Maybe the macro of an AI just lets Marines, with a little bit of control, to try and contain the splash damage that tanks do. You know, maybe bio tank is a bit more viable. There's a lot of medics here. Center, so keeping the medics alive, it's good, means you just have to produce Marines. There are a few barracks that aren't really producing much of anything here at the moment, so maybe even missing a few cycles, or maybe trying to save that money up for something else at the moment. And not wanting to quite spend all of its money right away. Healthy worker count for both the guys as well, but Dragon trying to work its way across this bridge here. Will disrupt worker transfers out of the main and natural though. Yeah, Crazio doing a good job. I would like to see Crazio get some tanks up here on this high ground to help defend this too, with Dragon as far forward as they are. Nice targeting down of the tanks by Crazio, but slowly Crazio is just kind of running out of army here, floating to a fair bit of money and gas. So yeah, it's only working off of the four factories with 3 shops. It might have had 3 shops earlier when I was talking about the shot count, but hard to say. The mining at this natural getting disrupted here. A lot of workers that are carrying minerals and gas not quite able to return cargo. They finally do though, as they are pushing Dragon back just a little bit here. Dragon still up 5 bases to 4 bases here. See if Dragon wants to take another base or not. I mean, the main and the natural are mined out at this point, so it's just 3 mining operations here. Crazio has some minerals in the main, but it's essentially mined out. Not fully saturating the natural here. The third, looks like the Wraith's trying to harass it, but decent turret placement is stopping that forward now. And up here at the 4th, has some decent saturation as well, going in and preparing that factory, so. Dragon's main focus, though, is on containing this army here at Crazio's Bridge, and I think that might end up being the downfall. A lot of the times in TVT, yeah, 5th base did get taken here for Crazio. I missed it down in the spawn. Looks like it's been up for a little bit. Yeah, CV's just refusing to engage with this one Marine that's got like 10 or less hit points. They could easily kill it, but instead they're just cowering at the ramp, which is kind of funny to see. Just absolutely refusing to engage there. Crazio's starting to battle back here. Dragon just wasn't quite able to battle across that bridge, and now there's a decent tank count here for Crazio, as long as the Goliaths, they're getting picked off by tanks and Marines, and so now there's not really, well, there's a couple of Wraiths, so I was going to say there's not really anti-air, but there is some air for Crazio. 6th base being taken by Dragon, but that might soon be its 5th base, as this middle here may be forced to lift or just die. Trying to get some turrets here, but they keep getting sieged down by the tanks, so not good to try and build these structures in range of siege tanks, and that command center is left to die instead of being floated away, though it probably would not have got away with the Wraiths of Crazio very quickly taking claim of this center, just continuing to push forward, bring reinforcements. Dropships out for Crazio, so we may see those come into play somewhere. Crazio might push this back all the way to Dragon's Bridge. Looks like the in the middle macro buildings are going to fall here. Yeah, Crazio has battled their way back to the bridge, so we've had a real back and forth here in this game. We were here earlier, but the tank count is just so much higher now for Crazio. With the 4 shops now, able to pump out those tanks when needed. And TVT a lot of the time becomes a battle of tank versus tank. Good Wraith, healthy Wraith count too. Wraith's getting in some good harassment, finding areas that aren't as well protected. Some nice diving in there. The Vultures will take out the turrets there. Now diving into the natural. This mid-right base was mined out but gets cleaned up by Crazio, and so yeah, Vulture's cleaning out this bottom right base, and so this game is won by Crazio. Very, very cool to see. Yeah, I think this could have happened a bit sooner if the factory and shop count had been a little bit higher for Crazio. A few looks like factories here in the middle. But overall, still nice play to battle back, or to get to that front, lose it, and then battle back to reclaim it and take the win. Very nicely executed by Crazio. We'll just speed this up here, as it's just basically Crazio cleaning up the buildings here. And GG, well played. Their Dragon showing some real strong strength there with the IO tank, but just not quite enough in this game. We'll go ahead and get into our third match of the day. So, as of the time that I'm recording this, the SSCAIT website and server are not really accessible, so due to that, there are some recommended games that I can't cast today. So what I'm doing instead is I decided, since I casted a game of another player against Monster, I figured I would go ahead and give a shot against Monster. So I've got a couple of games that I've played here. And here in this first game we have myself, Nightcat, spawning as the Brown Terran up at the top left, and down in the bottom right we have Monster spawning as the Teal Zerg. This way you can see that how I fare against Monster. I will decide to go a different style in this though. In this first game there is a little bit of clunkiness from me because I'm getting used to the timing since I haven't played on Snail in a while, or in the 1.13 client. It is a little bit awkward to get that rhythm down for when you can, you know, like between the mouse and the keyboard with clicking things. So here we have the scout from Monster finding Nightcat. Gonna go ahead and scout and see what's up. We'll see the geyser is being gathered, so most likely mech play, but would be nice if that drone can confirm if the factory goes down or not. We have the natural hatchery and the spawning pool coming down here. Also, being brown here is a little tricky to see where small things are on the minimap, but we have the double scout going on since the first scout failed, just to try and make sure if there's any Zergling rush happening, but we do find Monster, so the other SCV will be free to return home, and I guess it turns around there. Factory on the way, just about done. We will just a couple of lings out. Gonna go ahead and chase that SCV around a bit. Factory comes floating down to the natural, and SCV coming down to get that natural started. First Vulture just about done. And really the Vulture is what allows this build to sort of like expand like this, right? Because you've just got just the 2 Marines, but technically Vultures could take on like infinity Marines. Now, one thing that I don't have is my custom hotkey set up in Snail that I use in Remastered, so things like Patrol Micro are a little trickier with the Vulture because I typically have Patrol on Q, whereas in the 1.16 client it was on P, which is really far on the other side of the keyboard from the hotkeys that you typically use for those sorts of things. Natural just finishing up here. Transfer just a little bit late, but there is the natural transfer. We've got 21 workers to 29 workers, so Monster really droning up here in this early phase against mech. Looks like we have Spire on the way. The engineering bay is finished, so we will see a few turrets get thrown down here. And when I was talking about having a timer earlier, so yeah, in 1.16 client, it does not include a native timer, but the Snail app does put a little bit of a timer there for you. We got some turrets coming down, so they're in plenty of time as a little bit early, as the Spire just finishing now. I think this was like a 2-hatch Spire timing for the turrets, whereas it just needed to be like a 3-hatch Spire timing. And so we've got Goliath production going on here, looking like a 3-factory Goliath build. More depots coming in. The armory is done, but there is no upgrade coming out of it. Charon boosters are done. Then we have the first engage with the Mutalisks. They managed to catch one of the Marines, pick off a Goliath here, but they will go ahead and back off. You typically don't want to like really engage too heavily with Goliaths. Take a swipe at that bunker and then decide to go ahead and back off. We'll catch a Goliath though on its own. We'll pick another Goliath off, so losing a few Goliaths will slow things down a bit for the mech play here. We've got another round of Goliaths on the way. Meanwhile, Monster is going ahead and checking some of the other bases. They are getting their third up here down in the bottom mid, and they're getting the drone transferred to it. 42 workers, 238 right now for the two players. We're going up to 5 factories, it looks like. So it's looking maybe a bit like a 5 factory Goliath play here off the 2 bases. We can see some of the Goliaths here looking to maybe move out. One of the things you want to do with a 5 factory Goliath build is do like sort of a fake out. Now this should, or fake move out. Now this should have come sooner, but due to losing a few Goliaths, like basically this is supposed to happen right when you hit 12, but I think there's been like 3 Goliaths lost so far or so. So hitting the count for that little move out is a bit late, and we see that the Mutalisks here were looking like maybe they were going to try and counter while this large Zergling army was maybe going to deal with it. Now we have a move in from the Zerglings here, getting a good and sort of good engager for a moment with the Goliaths, but Goliaths sort of just chew through Zerglings, so it's going to force that back home. Meanwhile, Monsters just making sure that there's no surprise bases being taken, going ahead and planting a few burrows, Zerglings and or an Overlord at some of the bases here. Mutalisk doing some scouting as well. It looks like we are teching. We've got our hive. We're getting defilers out, and the 5-factor Goliath push has kind of missed its timing by about a minute, which I would account to the issues with the controls in 1.16, just not being used to it, and also losing a few Goliaths early on to those Mutalisks. So they really delayed this sort of timing push here enough so that Swarm is out. Scan going down to deal with the Lurkers, but you have to be careful because one of the... Ooh, that Lurker's getting some serious damage from Scan finally coming in. A lot of swarms coming down, and this force is going to now be cleaned up. But yeah, that's... Consume is done, so these defilers are just going to be absolutely deadly. Behind that push, going ahead and taking a third, which is something that you should be wanting to do, is to, expand behind that push in case it falls, because it's depending on if you do no damage at all, it can pretty much be game over, but sometimes you can still continue to play from the position. But as you can see, this is just going to get overrun here, and with the Swarm, it's just going to push everything back. We've got more rounds of Zerglings coming out here for Monster. Again, coming down, but there's just so many Lurkers here. Like 6 Lurkers, I think? Yeah, 6 Lurkers tearing that up, and with that, Nightcat will go ahead and GG out as the natural is falling to the Swarm here, and we'll go ahead and get into our next and last game of the day. Getting the last game here today started. We have the second game that I played against Monster here, with Nightcat spawning as the Red Terran up at the top right of the map, and over in the top left of the map we have Monster spawning as the Teal Zerg. So decided to do a little bit of a different strategy here, just to see how it would go. And in terms of control wise, I was feeling a little bit more comfortable with controlling the game client at this point. You can see very early scout going on for Monster. Usually with Zerg you would want to scout, so you'd get up to 12, you'll throw down like your second hatchery, and then you'll go ahead and scout, unless you're doing something like a 9 pool. But even then you're not really going to be scouting with a drone, right? Because every drone is really going to count in terms of your economy. You take a bit of a hit taking that early drone scout out, but going ahead and scouting, sees what's going on, sees the refinery coming down, so it looks like it will be mech play again. Gas being gathered there. And we have the SCV, so we get the first scout with the SCV this time, and we'll see that, it was an expansion there. It doesn't need to get another Marine just yet. Can't get that factory down just a little bit faster. Thanks to that. Going to go ahead and chase down the drone. It's going to be dancing around trying to get information as long as it can be. We've got the SCV back at the mineral mine, which is going to prevent that drone from being able to do a complete loop through the edge of the base there, allowing that drone just to get caught a little bit earlier. Now we have the SCV moving out to get that command center at the natural. We have the factory done, so the first vulture is on the way. SCV here being chased around, getting that intel, sees that it is 3 hatcheries, so the Mutalisk play will be on about the 3 hatchery timing. Here we have the command center going down. The first vulture is out. Oops, actually the first vulture getting lost there by to the sunken. So this is actually the second vulture that's coming out. That first one just venturing a little bit too far forward and taking some hits, so this is a bit of an unfortunate loss. You typically don't want to lose those vultures. Now here we have the natural coming up. Again, that transfer just a little bit late, but not too bad. And since the scout was lost, I mean, we do have this vulture out here to watch for anything, but I'm going to go ahead and just throw down that bunker so that those Marines can go ahead and sit in there nice and safe in case anything like if a mass of Zerglings were to come out and just sort of run by. You wouldn't want to have that happen. So engineering bay on the way, being built at the natural here, since it's most likely just going to be lifted, so you just kind of throw it down. I think in this game I have a couple of supply blocks, but I don't quite remember if I do. We have our turrets being started, and just a little bit early as the Spire is just finishing now. Nothing's been seen yet, though, but we're working under the assumption of Mutalisk, both because we know the opponent monster tends to do that, the Mutalisk opening, and not Lurker openings, but also, if you're going to get 2 turrets in the main, I mean, they're not going to be optimally positioned for if it's Lurker play, but Lurker play is generally weaker against mech. You can have some advantage in that, scans are going to be late, and scans are going to be, in a bit shorter supply. Almost would have been better off to pick that SCV off, I think, and delay that starport, but she's to try and engage with the turret once it starts to open fire. And so yeah, we can see here the divergence, the different, right? So we've got just 2 factories, we're getting our starport, we're getting our science facility already, so this is more of an upgrade style mech, where we're just going to try expanding and defending, right? We're not really going to be super aggressive necessarily in the early game. We're just going to try and live and essentially get the upgrades that we need to be able to just power through the Zerg. We're already getting Irradiate to deal with the Defilers that will eventually come out. Science Vessel on the way. Here we can see Irradiate being researched, almost done. First Vessel about to pop, throwing down a few more factories to just increase that factory count. Mutalisk stuck in there to see what's going on, and the first vessel is out at this time at 9:20. Radiate is done as well, though the vessel doesn't quite have the energy for an irradiative EB. A little bit of forward posturing there just to see if there is anything outside of the main. But monster's just kind of content to sit back here, grow its forces, get Consume. We can see here, Consume is actually not being researched. Oh yeah, the Defiler amount is just building up now, so... Got something coming out of the shops here. We've got mines and siege mode. Got a few rounds of vultures coming out here, and that's something you can do with mech play is, if you need gas for something, like, okay, I want to throw down another factory or 2, make a round of vultures, and then, that will free up gas to be able to get those out. 54 workers to 52 drones. Monster, one thing with this play, it has not needed to really defend. And here it does see that this third is coming up here, so it is going to go ahead and attempt to move out. Irradiate on the one lurker that's there, so that lurker will pop. But nice little force here from Monster gathering at that choke, getting ready to move in as most forces go ahead and move over to the bridge here to defend the natural. A couple of siege tanks up here. This is actually probably enough to just overrun this at the moment. Yeah, there isn't really vision. Mines was researched, but not really used, which is a bit of an issue here, where, this army is going to kind of come up and surprise. And there we have the swarms, but Irradiate going down on one of the Defilers, but there is a second Defiler there. And with Consume, going to be able to force this third to lift and have to pull back. Now the army that was up there gets cleared, but there's still a couple of defilers here, so they're going to try and move back up here again. A few more swarms getting thrown down. Now there's the Hydralisk here, but kind of funny, the Terran units under the swarm are protected from the Hydralisks. Unfortunately, the worker transfer here will get those workers picked off. And this third will be forced to lift and be pushed back. And so yeah, Swarm is just crazy in the hands of the AI. It's just able to consume so quickly and just get up all this energy. So now, Nightcat being pushed on the back foot here a little bit, trying to throw down a few mines. Scan going down for the workers that were up close here. But some detection being offered by the vessel that is still there too. We've got another macro round coming out pretty soon here for Nightcap. And this is going to need to be repaired, and it does. With the SVs, there we go. Get ordered to repair, and they will begin to do that. But Monster just has a ridiculous army out here. I mean, as Terran in general, you don't want to be lower than the Zerg player, and we're at 166 supply to 89 supply for Terran, so not looking too good here. It looks like getting ready for another major push here. And here it comes. We've got swarms working their way into the natural here. And with that, that will be GG given there by Nightcat to Monsters. So pretty fun to play against it. You know, it's just, Swarm is crazy powerful in the hands of AI. They just get it down everywhere, and they're able to consume the Zerglings so quickly and restore their energy. Like, there's only 3 defilers here. And you guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which, if I remember correctly, Swarm is 100 energy, so a defiler without the energy upgrade can toss 2 swarms down. So that's still not even as many as, like, could be down. Like, there could be a 6th one down without a single consume happening during this attack. But, like, it's still kind of just crazy, because they could easily do this with, like, 1 or 2, just consume, cast, consume, cast type of thing. So, pretty fun, though, to play against. And I do recommend, you know, if you haven't given Schnell a try and you want to try against these AIs, go ahead and give it a try. You know, download the client. It's pretty easy to install and use. One of the challenges, I think, with it is that it is on the 1.16 client, so you do have to get, like, more into that 1.16 rhythm. That is good because the controls, the mouse clicks can block keyboard input, and keyboard input can block mouse input. So, but if you're used to that, you know, if you used to play back in the day before Remastered came out, or, you know, if you don't mind it, you can get used to it pretty quickly. It's definitely fun to give it a try. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's cast. Hopefully we'll be able to get to those other recommended games for next week from the SSCAIT ladder, and we'll get those in then. But I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, we really appreciate the support. Links down in the description below. Give a like if you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and subscribe as well, so that way you get, you know, well, you have to hit the notification thing to actually get notifications, but that way it'll just pop up in your feed whenever the new one's coming up. So, thank you everybody. I'll catch you next time. Until then, take care.